Hi, I'm Kirk Davies, a rangeland scientist with the Eastern Oregon Agricultural Research Center, here to present an Ag Minute. This week I'm going to talk about issues regarding wildfires and prescribed burning. Wildfires naturally burned range and forest lands before European settlers arrived. In our region, these wildfires would shift sagebrush-dominated rangelands to grasslands and keep juniper from invading more productive plant communities. We altered the frequency and impacts of wildfires with our activities and the introduction of weeds. Fire suppression and livestock grazing have reduced the frequency of wildfires in some areas, while the introduction of cheatgrass has increased the frequency of wildfires in other areas. These alterations to the historic fire cycles have negatively impacted native plant communities and reduced livestock forage. Today I'm going to discuss how cheatgrass and juniper can alter wildfires. Cheatgrass can increase the fine fuels on rangelands, resulting in wildfires burning more frequently and larger areas without any unburned patches within the burn perimeter. Cheatgrass has increased some fire frequencies to every few years, where in the past, wildfires occurred every 50 to 100 plus years. Most desirable native vegetation cannot exist under such frequent fires. When western juniper dominates a site, the likelihood of a wildfire occurring is greatly reduced because latter fuels, such as sagebrush and bunch grasses, can be lost or greatly reduced. However, with extremely dry, hot, and windy conditions, these juniper woodlands may burn, but the negative impacts can be huge due to the severity of the wildfire. Wildfires burning juniper-dominated sites are extremely hot and can result in a large mortality of remaining desirable species, loss of soil nutrients, severe erosion, and are very dangerous. Today I'm going to discuss issues regarding letting wildfires burn. Letting wildfires burn is often suggested as a way to let nature take care of itself. However, range and forest lands have been significantly modified since European settlement, which has altered the impacts of wildfires. Vegetation, in other words fuel for the fire, has built up where fire frequencies have been reduced. This has resulted in severe wildfires with a greater mortality of desirable vegetation, higher losses of soil nutrients, and accelerated erosion. The loss of desirable vegetation opens the plant community up to weed invasion. Because of weeds and increased fuel loads, wildfires can have a very negative impact to rangelands. Another concern with letting wildfires go is that they will burn important livestock forage areas or key wildlife habitat. Letting wildfires go can also result in very large fires that can threaten human life and property and be extremely costly and dangerous to contain. Today I'm going to talk about the benefits of prescribed burning. Where fire frequency has been reduced, we've often seen an increase in woody vegetation. In our region, sagebrush increases and juniper invades other plant communities. With prescribed burning, we can return plant communities to a more natural and often productive state. Burning can be used to favor desirable species over undesirable species by considering differences in their life cycles. Prescribed fires can also reduce fuels, which will protect plant communities, as well as people and wildlife from catastrophic wildfires. Prescribed burning is often done in the fall or spring where weather conditions allow for a less severe fire and greater control of the fire. Controlling the severity of the fire allows managers to limit the negative impacts to desirable vegetation. For example, burning Wyoming big sagebrush in the late fall, we saw almost no mortality of bunch grasses and subsequently no invasion by cheatgrass. Today I'm going to discuss some points to consider before prescribed burning. Of course, a couple of the most important issues are the ability to contain your prescribed burn and to be considerate of all your neighbors, but we are going to focus more on impacts to vegetation. Before burning rangelands, we need to consider how the prescribed fire will affect desirable and undesirable vegetation. A good rule of thumb is not to burn sagebrush communities if they contain cheatgrass. Cheatgrass will benefit more than the native bunch grasses from the release of nutrients from the burning. The condition of vegetation is also important. For example, burning decadent bunch grasses increases their risk of mortality. We found that burning sagebrush bunchgrass communities that had not been grazed since the 1930s resulted in a greater loss of bunch grasses and a greater increase in cheatgrass than communities that had been grazed just 2 years before the burn. Timing of the burn can also alter the impacts. Prescribed burning juniper invaded aspen communities in the fall versus the spring resulted in greater juniper control and more aspen suckering, but more negatively impacted the herbaceous vegetation. identifying how different